Happy New Year. This episode of Watch Out for Fireballs is brought to you by Ryan, our patron. If you would like to join Ryan, you can go to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv. Thank you. My name is Gary Butterfield.
My name is Cole Ross.
And you're listening to Watch Out for Fireballs. It is a Games Club podcast.
And this week we are talking about Dark Messiah of Might and Magic, which is an immersive sim developed by Arcane Studios and published by Ubisoft for the PC in 2006.
Yeah, it's been no time for you.
Mm-hmm.
But we're back from vacation.
We are, I think, like 12 days off without recording.
Yeah.
Something like that. Boy, it was neat. I got to play games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I spent my ducky vacation. I beat Wasteland 3. I got into Darkest Dungeon 2. Mm-hmm. Started playing the early access. Watched a lot of Cutthroat Kitchen.
Hey, if people want to hear your thoughts on Darkest Dungeon 2, is that something they could do? Is there a Patreon they can join to get that?
I threw it up on the Patreon, just my first impression thoughts, because it's very much in early access. Mm-hmm. It's a complete game. I played 16 hours of it and don't have a reason really to play more. Mm-hmm. It's that kind of thing, at least where it's at in early access. But I did put my thoughts up there. You can look for that. It's called like Darkest Dungeon 2 Impressions or something.
Yeah.
Just a short little recording I made. But yeah, I got to spend some time playing video games for Gary.
Yeah.
And you got to play some games for Cole. What'd you play?
I beat Life is Strange Before the Storm. I had been wanting to do that for a while. That is actually very good and very sweet. Awesome. I finished Metroid Dread, which is not good. It's not good. Yeah. Real disappointment there. And then just a little cold treat. I know it's bad, but I finished Dragon Ball Z Kakarot because I wanted to spend some time in that little dipshit world for a while.
Nice. The Kakarot.
Yeah.
Kakarot.
That's Goku's name. That's his Saiyan name.
Oh, he's got a Saiyan. I didn't know they got new names when they became Saiyans.
No, he was born as Saiyan. His birth name was Kakarot. He became Goku when he came. I almost said to America. That doesn't make any sense. It's like they changed it at Ellis Island.
I would love Goku and his entire family at Ellis Island. Your name is Goku Steen? We're going to shorten that.
Yeah.
You can find something that sounds a little more American than Goku Steen.
Yeah. But yeah, did all of those. It's very funny that a Cole Ross vacation is visibly indistinct from a Cole Ross work.
Oh, sure.
But
yeah, it's just stuff we're not going to talk about.
Yeah.
It's pretty great. Yeah, feels real good.
It does.
What also feels good is this episode being executive produced by Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah. This has been on my list for a very long time. Mm-hmm. And this is a quintessential WoF game. It is a flawed, janky mess that is nonetheless, I think, real fun. To play.
Yeah. We're going through Arcane's back catalog. This is one of those developers that we've done. I mean, what do we have left for Arcane? We've got Youngblood,
Deathloop and Arx Fatalis.
Youngblood, Deathloop, and Arx Fatalis. Yeah.
Yep.
Huh.
And I can imagine us getting to all those, actually.
Yes.
Youngblood got really critically panned, but it's still kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah. And this is I had something that resembles fun in this. I'm gonna tell you, Gary, this is in the Deus Ex 2 kind of area where this is a game for which I feel nothing.
Oh. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I find this game really fun. Mm-hmm. Just being in this dorky space.
Yeah.
It's an absolute mess.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a fun mess to me.
No, I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's not good. It's a game for which I feel nothing, which is it's a very hard thing to define.
No, I understand that. I get that about video games as well. Would it change your mind if you found out that you play as an apprentice warrior mage named Sereth, who's sent by his master to recover the Skull of Shadows?
Yeah. It would be, so I would really be on board if over the course of this, Sereth learned something about himself, a kind of a surprising fact that maybe is related to the like title of the game. You know, look to your life. You know, you're sitting at a table, and if you don't see the Dark Messiah at the table, the Dark Messiah is you, bud.
You. Look to your left. Look to your right. What if I told you that it has full frontal nudity with Bush?
Kate Bush?
Would that change your mind?
Noted art rock star Kate Bush?
No, but Demon Bush.
Oh.
Kate Bush's dark side, a.k.a. the front crotch of our succubus headmate that we have in this game.
Yeah, this is ridiculously horny. This game, I mean, I'm like, I don't know. There are probably more egregious. There are definitely more egregious examples of games, for lack of a better word, sucking you off.
Sure.
This one really wants you to know that you, as the player, are the most sexually activating entity of all time.
It's the elevator from Sorry to Bother You. But it lives in your head. So like when you walk around the elevator, it's constantly like, you're a man at the top of the sexual pile.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, it's not even just your headmate too. You get if she's your ginger, you get a Mary Ann, who is also kind of casting meaningful Alex glances at you and spends a lot of time saying like, hey, we need to go over here and talk alone. I'll tell you later. Like it's a lot. It's a lot of that.
Yeah, it's by far like Arcane is not a writing first studio.
No.
I think
this is the most embarrassing they've been.
Yeah, this is embarrassing. The story to this, even when I was pushing for this, I just knew it was to be clowned upon.
Oh yeah.
Like it's not serious. Mm-hmm. I do not take any of this stuff serious.
Good.
It's funny because it is certainly horny. There's a horny Rubicon that it crosses partway through, where it goes from like in the beginning, it's kind of flirty, but then also like kind of like a madcap stage play, like a farcical stage play. Like there's a lot of the succubus in your head will be like, will she ever stop talking? Mm-hmm. You know? Who wants anchovies on pizza? Who says stuff like that? And then halfway through, she's like, my love, I will give you anything, including the pleasures of the flesh. Yeah. And you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? As far as I know, you don't exist.
Yeah.
You're just a force ghost that lives in my brain. It's really weird. It's really weird.
You will be my prince with benefits. What are you talking about?
I also, by this point, I know you're a demoness.
Yeah.
You know, and just it's a thing. We'll get into it. It's very funny though.
Yeah. Plenty to clown on here. But
it's like the only thing I remembered about the story when going into it the second time.
That's about.
It's like, this is the one with the weird horny demon in your head.
Joining Penumbra Black Plague as a
very similar. They should hook up.
They should get the voice from Black Plague and Zana together. Yeah. So like many Arcane games, everything here happens from the first person perspective. And this is kind of one of the early games. I think this postdates like the Chronicle of Riddick or like a Breakout or Breakdown or whatever it is on the Xbox, as a game that kind of really gives you a sense of your body, your physical body in the game space. Everything about this is about things having heft.
Yeah, everything has heft in this. That is Thief DNA.
Yeah.
You know, like Thief being the first game that I know of to do that, and the first game, like stealth game, to do that. There are kind of stealth elements to this, which we'll talk about. Yeah. The main thing is this is like a first-person physics game in a lot of ways.
Yeah, this is like this would be a killer app for like a new console that had like a physics card in it or something like that. This is an early source game, and things flop around and fly and have heft to a ridiculous degree with those havoc physics, and a lot of the time it works. Sometimes it glitches in funny ways, and things just immediately accelerate to light speed in strange directions.
That is another way of it working.
Yes. Oh yeah. I am absolutely not complaining about that. Anytime that happens, that is pennies from heaven.
There's a glitch thing that happened to me in the Sinking City that I can't wait to talk about. Remind me if I forget about it. I don't think I will. But this to me is very fun. It's generally useful in combat.
Yes.
And the arcane DNA in this, the reason why this is an immersive sim as well as kind of like an FPS adventure game, is that you do a lot of cool tricks in combat, a lot of improv. Every villain hangout has a bunch of barrels with a rickety stick holding them up. Everyone just hangs around with a bunch of Cenobite bed frames.
Yep.
Just leaning against the wall.
Yeah.
Nonstop.
Yeah.
And this is great. It makes it really video gamey and silly, so you end up with things like, I'm going to, all these goblins are fighting me. I'm going to put a bonfire between me and them. And then when they wind up to attack, I'll move so they step into the fire. Things like that are just kind of silly, but they're emergent.
Yeah.
It makes the combat, which is by no means like tight or anything.
Yeah.
It makes it's the selling point.
Yeah.
For it.
Oh, absolutely. Like if I was trying to sell this game to somebody, I would just say you get to kick people a lot and they fly really long distances, and like that is, it's necessary, right? So any of my like complaints about the combat in this kind of has more to do with like the tuning than anything. So
it's weirdly hard.
Yes.
Like it's hard when you play it straight up.
Yeah.
And I think what they're going for is to force you into these physics.
Yes.
Things. And where it falls down is when the encounter design doesn't support that.
100%.
And that doesn't happen. It happens less often than not. But it's not like a 10-to-1 ratio. It's like for every 4 pretty good situations where the room makes sense, there's one where they just have a bunch of dudes storm you in a hallway and it doesn't work.
Right. And you end up kind of in the version of the game where you're doing too little damage, even with your like fully upgraded skills and weapons, too little damage to enemies who have too much HP, hoping that you can down them and get a chance to do an execution on them. Hoping that you like activate the adrenaline. So it's one of those things where like everything does chip damage except the things that do instant kills, which is really weird. Yeah.
And you're very fragile in it. We'll talk about that when we talk about the kind of the RPG system.
Yes.
In this, your melee system, you have a strong and a weak attack. You can charge your attack to make it strong. You can finish a downed enemy to do an execution move for them, and then you have and just like there being a lot of systems in this game that are kind of just throw it in. There's an adrenaline meter that fills up. And when it's full, you get this little bullet time instant kill attack. Yeah. If you hit an enemy, he doesn't block it.
And more often than not, that will end up severing body parts off of whatever creature you're attacking. It does an instant kill, usually a beheading, and that, just as a weird trivia thing, that ended up making this game like not possible to publish in Europe for a while. Yeah, because of Germany's laws against dismembering.
They don't like beheading.
No. It's a gory
sold
game.
The gangbusters in France. But
they have a long tradition.
Yeah.
It
gets its own rating there.
G.
G for guillotine.
But
the main thing we mentioned the kick that you have. This is a thing this game is famous for. And I'm gonna I like this game a lot. It's incredibly fun. It's such a good, satisfying little move.
Yeah.
Kicking dudes into spikes, kicking them into fires, kicking them off ledges, kicking them into each other. It's all wonderful.
Yeah, kicking them off docks. It's generally good, and I pretty much played the entire game jockeying for position to get this kick out, to get this kick out. And I think that if the kick was, quote, better designed, like kind of more integrated into the broader combat, like if there was a cooldown, if there was like equipment that made it effective or not effective against particular enemies, if anything was resistant to it, it would actually not be as fun. The fact that there is zero cooldown, it has a huge range. You can do it at a moment's notice. It kind of doesn't matter. The fact that this is just you have just instant unlimited Fusro Da, basically.
Your stamina. It'll take your stamina. To kick. So it's not unlimited, but it's generous.
Yeah, if you're not sprinting, your stamina tends to recover pretty quickly.
Yes. Yeah. This is, I'm really glad you mentioned this. This is a game that I think exemplifies something that would be worse if it were better designed.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like it is designed to kill people who are fans of character action games. It's like the opposite of Bayonetta.
Yeah.
In a way that is my shit. Like, just this weird jank where you have to use your environment a lot and use these unrealistic physics to your advantage is Gary Knapp.
Yeah. Yeah. And like there are certain things that are modeled, like fire doesn't kill instantly. Like it will set them on fire and cause like a drain. Fire can spread from individual things to people. The ways in which this is like an immersive sim, like that's why I kind of put the uptalk at the end of immersive sim on there, because like this is not an immersive sim in like the level design or like the structure of the structure of the missions, I should say more accurately.
There are nods to it, but you have a goal,
right?
So sometimes you have different ways of getting there, but you have a bespoke goal. And you don't usually have different ways of accomplishing it. You just have different ways of traversing the space.
Yeah.
Sometimes
the level of the levels in this, it feels like they have more in common, or the scenarios in this feel like they have more in common with a Ravensoft, like a Raven first person shooter, Singularity, Wolfenstein, any of those.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. As opposed to, a Dishonored, etc.
Yeah. There are little nods to it sometimes in towns. Mm-hmm. And there's immersive sim nods in that, like, these orcs go to the bathroom and these orcs sleep.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there are bedroom areas and cooking areas and stuff. Mm-hmm. There's an ecology sometimes, but you're also you're doing a lot of tomb raiding in this game.
Yeah.
I don't agree with the point that's next in the note, but I'll mention it anyway. It's okay. So the melee combat is very overpowered. You also have ranged combat and magic combat. I think those can actually be super effective.
Okay.
In the game, specifically magic. Like, magic is pretty overpowered in this. Specifically the charm spell.
Okay.
Which is arcane. It's amazing they didn't learn their lesson, because between this and Prey, that is ridiculously overpowered. Like, nothing resists it. It's just you spend a little bit of mana to take away an enemy unit and gain one for yourself.
Yeah.
And it cast really quick. I opened every combat with it. And what it did was made, most encounters in this are two enemies. Like, go into a room, there's two orcs or two goblins talking or what have you. This just makes them fight each other while you just get pot shots and win.
Yeah. And then go in and clean up the scraps. Once it's over with. Yeah. I didn't end up having an awful lot of success with that. It felt weird. Who knows what actually contributed to it? I kind of found that magic was not a good way to use my mana. My mana was mostly used for healing, more so than anything else.
It's a weird thing. So there's three different builds here. We're basically mentioning it, like roughly melee combat, range combat, and stealth or magic. And I find that it's like much easier to just kind of be a little bit of a jack of all trades in this than to concentrate. So like I had, some spells, I had some stealth, I had some melee, and that's how I played both times, and it works pretty well.
Yeah, that's.
I think the game wants you to concentrate based on the equipment and how they'll have different requirements, to wear different armor. But I generally don't.
Yeah, Definitely less effective than the magic for me was the bow and arrow, which is frustrating because I like playing, when I play Oblivion or Skyrim, love playing a ranged guy, right? Love having a bow and arrow, love being able to fling a stick, right? But it didn't end up really working, and that just kind of leaned into what we said before about enemies being too durable. So it was just kind of like, all right, I'm going to start my combat from a distance. I can't kill them before they get to me. Oh no.
It's a weird thing where only headshots count.
Right.
Like you can one shot a lot of dudes with the bow with a couple points, but you have to get headshots.
Yeah.
And it's a physics bow. Like you breathe, it shakes. You have to draw it. It takes time. Like this is the immersive sim DNA in this is shows through in many places. And one of them is that like none of your weapons are video gamey. Like it takes time to get them out. It takes time to draw an arrow. It takes time to prepare a spell. All those things take time.
Yeah.
That enforce a pace of play that doesn't necessarily work with the encounter design every time.
Right. Yeah. And the arrows have realistic fall off, which is cool. You end up having to arch them. Or fire them in arcs, and it's neat when that works. It's a good feeling. But the scenario that I described, where like, oh no, I can't kill him before he gets to me, ends up being a bit of a bummer.
Well,
yeah.
When something's running at you, it's basically impossible to get a headshot.
Yes.
In this engine, like you can start a combat with it and sometimes take somebody out.
Yeah.
But it's not viable for an entire encounter.
Same thing with stealth, right? You're not going to be going around and doing, Batman Arkham Predator stuff. Stealth is going to be an opening gambit.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have a little light meter, similar to Thief. But again, it's not very developed.
Yeah.
In this, and the idea of like picking a class in this also is not super developed to me. Yeah. Your mana, so you have a lot of different spells you can choose. They're kind of split into two branches, an offensive and a utility branch. This is limited by mana, which will recharge, but it's slow.
Yes.
And you're going to use this a lot to heal. When you have extra mana, you can do that charm. Telekinesis is very useful as well. This is really good for activating traps.
Yes.
Things like that. So pulling, things that will affect those barrel deadfall kind of things.
The weird little barrel dead drops that they have.
Just setting that up like, working it up. Yeah. Just in case they want a suicide by barrel later.
It's nice having the option. Yeah.
Yeah. Who wouldn't want to die?
So the pickup economy in this is really weird. You're not going to come in if you're coming into this expecting it to be, I'm going to kill a guy and he's going to have, a slightly better sword and some junk armor that I can sell and maybe, a couple of potions and some money. This isn't that game. That is not how this works. You're not picking up healing items off of enemies. You're finding them in the environment, and it really feels like they're meeting out health potions like this is a survival horror game. Yeah.
They're few and far between.
Yeah.
For the game, depending on how you're playing it, how well levels, whether you save scum at all. Yeah, things like that. Yeah. But you're not just getting health left and right. Enemies do drop their weapons, but again, there's immersive sim DNA in that. Like the orcs use these big gnarly scimitars that do a lot of damage, but they take a lot of strength.
Yes,
because they're orcs. The goblins use shitty clubs. They're way worse than what you already have. But they do drop them.
Yeah.
You can you can have a stack of these. You can also have food. Which I love, just goes into a big miscellaneous pile.
Just organic matter. It's prey. Yeah.
Yeah, like prey. I'm just going to eat this entire strand of garlic and then like some grapes. The worst thing to me that I find that I feel like should not have made it past playtesting in this, because it's a messy ass game, is poison.
Wow.
Some credit where it's due. Making poison scary is an accomplishment. Poison in video games does not matter.
Right.
Like I'm going to go as far as to say that, like, it is a frustrating mechanic in that it tends just to be something that I ignore.
Right.
Toxic, I don't ignore in Dark Souls, but poison I do. I ignored poison in every Final Fantasy until 10.
Right.
Where they started making it do like a 10th of your hit points. It's a shitty status effect. Here, it's a big deal.
It's a big deal like it is in Kingsfield. Yeah.
What was that?
It's a big deal like it is in Kingsfield.
Yes. The shitty thing about it is they didn't give you a spell.
Nope.
That's all it would take is like an antidote spell that would fix this. Instead, you have to rely on antidotes, which there are a limited number of them in the world. And as far as I know, like poison doesn't wear off.
It was really hard
on
to
what poisoned me.
It was really hard to tell because there's also a skill that you can get that will affect your quote unquote poison resistance. You know, like you can invest skill points in that, but like it kind of seemed that even if I put 1 or 2 points in that, it kind of seemed like anything that hit, if it was a spider or if it was one of the undead that did the vomit attack, like anytime that connected, it would start the poison meter running.
Yes. It does not seem like you have poison resistance in this.
Right. So I don't know if that means like the resistance is eventually, you know, the chance for this to go away. It doesn't seem like it is, you know, resistance in the classical sense of like, yeah, you know, it won't take if it hits you, you know, this percentage of the time.
Well, and it's worth mentioning to people who are doing this as a service, which I imagine a lot of people are not playing this game. This is all opaque. It's not like you get a robust stat screen that tells you your poison resistance.
Right.
It's very of the, you know, Thief, Dark Shadows, Deus Ex 2, like this is on consoles and PC. So it has kind of a simplified RPG interface, like especially compared to Arx Fatalis.
Yeah.
So I don't know what our poison, we don't know what that skill does. It just says increases your resistance to poison. I couldn't tell a difference either. And initially what I was doing was I was just using antidotes. When that stopped working, I was basically like save scumming, like reloading when I got poisoned. And then eventually I cheated and just gave myself maximum poison antidotes. Yeah. Because I was sick of it. You fight a lot of spiders in this game. I like the spiders in this game. I think they're scary and good. Yep. If they hit you once, they poison you, and it's an emergency.
Yep. Yeah,
big
you
deal.
know, to the point where like when you're reading about the game, they say like, yeah, when you get into a spider tunnel, which is a weirdly common biome in this.
It's one of 3 biomes in this. It's like spider, temple, and city. The 3 genders like of this. It's very, very common. Yeah.
But if if you start seeing webs on the walls, just run and get to the end of it and heal at the end. You know, don't try and heal as you go because you're just going to be reinfected, no matter what you do, which is not satisfying.
No, the spiders, they are really weak to fire. Yep. So it's one of those things where if you're splashing into magic, it's a lot easier. Yeah. Than it would be. There's just a lot of them. Like that, it's something where I don't think that the enemy design of the spiders is the problem as much as just they overwhelm you with them. Yeah. And they only overwhelm you with them. Yeah. Like if you're in a spider tunnel, there's 4 or 5 spiders always. Yeah. And you cannot cast to keep up with them. No. You can block a shot. You won't get poisoned through your shield if you have one. But they're still going to like flank you and shit.
There are also, I mean, especially early on, the itty bitty spiders that can just walk up under your field of view and just suddenly you notice that you're poison and you have to specifically look down. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's a problem. Yes. Like it's amateurish and should not have made it into the game the way it is, I think.
And it is a wonderful testament to playing games like this on the PC where you can just get around bad systems with the console command. Yeah,
it's a good thing.
It is. Yeah. No, I got into this and it was like, all right, the cheat that I did was just to speed up my mana regen when I was in an area with poison enemies. Just say like, all right, heals are free.
Yeah. Because I'm not dealing with these fucking spiders. And then it's also, they made it not special. That's the other thing that bothers me is that like the big worm thing does it, the undead do it. It just shows up a lot. Yes. It's the only status effect other than getting frozen. But like I would have preferred freezing happen more often or something. You know, or just give the undead a different gimmick. Yes. You know, let them slow you or something like that. Yeah. You get skill points in this game. It's worth noting how they dole these out. You do not get combat XP. I think that's really important to the kind of the philosophy of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Because if there's a room with some enemies in it, you're not incentivized to take them out if you can sneak to the other side or charm them and distract them and run by.
Yeah.
You get skill points at certain thresholds in the story for kind of making advancement in the plot. I like that philosophy a lot.
Yeah.
I like combat XP quite a bit, but I like it less. I think that if you don't have to do every fight, it's cool to disincentivize it.
Yeah. And especially with a game as linear as this one is, like you can just say, all right, you got past that encounter, right? That room or that sequence of hallways, that was an encounter. And no matter what, okay, no matter how you got past it, we don't want to prize or incentivize any one particular way of getting through this. We want to reward you even if you got through without fighting. Here you go. Yeah.
Yep. And that's a big immersive sim feeling decision to me.
Yeah.
Like that supports there are multiple ways to get through these things. Like you can't talk your way through encounters really, but you can fight or sneak or like distract.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You let your boot do the talking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So like the skills that you get mostly passive, and a lot of them end up being skills that you get that will like improve your HP, or improve like weapon damage that you do. One of the biggest benefits though is that certain skills are necessary to equip different and better gear. So like this sword will require strength of so-and-so, whereas if you want to use this magic staff, it requires magic attunement of so-and-so. It's limited equipment, and this is definitely not like a loot focused game, but there is enough that like there are different choices that you're making about like what you're going to pursue when you get in here.
I really like how differently the different kind of weapon styles handle.
Yeah.
Like the staff is cool because it doesn't do as much damage, but it knocks enemies down. But it has a kind of a harder moveset to use.
Yeah.
And then you end up with something like, the strongest weapon, I didn't end up using this very often, but the gamer pro tip way to do this is use an elemental set of daggers. Because the damage just stacks up really quick since you can attack really fast. But even, sword and shield versus just a sword handles differently. The power attacks that you can do different power attacks based on which direction you're moving.
Yeah.
When you let it go. This can be really useful. Like there are enemies that have certain weak points and things. Like I actually kind of like how the combat feels in this, despite the fact that it's super janky. And the thing that I like about it is that it's a little bit deeper than it initially appears.
Yeah. And I think that has a lot to do, so this isn't like, Morrowind, right? Where you attack and then whatever is under your crosshair gets hit. It's not like Dead Island or something like that. Like the actual swing that you do has an arc. It is a physics modeled thing. So dialing in your move ends up really mattering. If you get a stab or a wide swipe, etc. Yeah.
That all basically works out. We talked about finding stuff. In the economy, or in the finding things in the economy, finding things in the world.
You didn't ask me about buying that hat. I found this hat.
Yeah. Somebody did steal your hat. I'd like you to have mine. One of the things I think is cool about this is that there are a lot of secrets.
I love that. I didn't expect to have like classic, like Jedi Knight Dark Forces secrets in this, like little stashes.
Little ways, like especially the city levels, which are only a couple of them, but I like the city levels a lot. You see a house, you see an open window.
Yeah.
It's like, well, how do I get up to that open window? I bet you there's some stuff in there. And there is. It's a very fun game for hunting down secrets. And these secrets are really meaningful with that pickup economy, in that they allow you to jump a curve. Right?
Oh, yeah.
You can find, nearly end game weapons solidly in the early mid game through secrets.
Yeah.
It does the old 90s FPS thing of having things repeat. So like if you miss the first time an endless quiver shows up, there are more that you can find. If you miss the first time, like it's very funny when it's like Staff of Destruction, it sounds like a named magical item and you find another copy of it later.
Yeah.
Like I was told this was an NF staff. You can jump that curve, and it's very satisfying when you do.
Yeah. Also, like, that is the best way to get really valuable potions. Like, secret stashes are pretty much the only place that you'll get the all heal potion or the complete heal potion, which is wildly useful.
Yes. Yeah. Or a stone skin potion. Those are also rare.
Yeah.
Those are useful.
Yeah. That will just basically obviate entire encounters if you have stone skin up. It's wild.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so the levels are pretty linear in this, and the game is pretty cinematic.
Yes.
Like, there are chases, there are scripted like turret sequences, stuff like that. Like, it has that FPS-ness with just a splash of immersive sim in the level design.
Yeah.
And that's in those secrets and in those kind of like living spaces.
Yeah. I didn't expect that to be the case, and I would be lying if I said it wasn't a little bit of an adjustment between my expectations and what was here. Once I started thinking about this like a Dark Forces, then it started making sense to me. Yeah. But, you've got multiple ways forward, and the reliance on physics works really well for that. Moving crates, stepping up on those things, or you can even like use crates in combat too. Just straight up pick them up and throw them at a dude to knock him down. But the MVP of this, and a holdover, at least in spirit from Thief, are these rope arrows, which are the MVP of the game along with the kick. Kicking and rope arrows is what I would say is like the cream of this. Yeah.
The rope arrow specifically in Thief, it's very limited.
Yeah.
You only get a couple of them. Here you get an unlimited one. And it works on any wooden structure.
Yeah.
You can hit. These are really cool. You can shoot multiple ones to create little Donkey Kong Jr. Courses for yourself. Yeah. And you can get to a lot of places it doesn't seem like you're supposed to get between the rope arrow and the mantle.
Yeah.
You feel like you're cheating the physics sometimes. You're jumping, parallel to something. It doesn't feel like you should be able to pull yourself up, but it just kind of works.
Yep.
Because of the jank, and it's very fun. Like getting up into weird rafters you're not supposed to be, and 9 times out of 10 there's a little stash up there.
Yeah.
Like the devs knew you could get up there and put something fun up there.
Which is always that is one of the primary good things that games can do for me. Yeah.
I love the rope sound. The climb, like the rope stretching sound is very satisfying in this.
Yeah, it is kind of funny though, because they imply that there's like a rope swing kind of thing that happens like when they tutorialize this. No, it's basically just a ladder that happens.
It's a ladder. Yeah, it's a ladder you can jump from. Like it does not have physics once it exists.
Yes,
once it settles in, really.
Yeah, but there are not many games with levels designed specifically like this game, and that is because it is designed around these.
Yes, you get it way later than I remembered.
Yes,
like in my head, you had it very early on. It takes a while to get it, but it is a really cool little tool.
Yeah. Yeah. So like aesthetics kind of stuff, like it looks and sounds like a Source game of its era. I don't have an awful lot to say about it. The music is good. The models are fine. The stages are readable. Did you have any thoughts on the aesthetic there?
Not really.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it actually looks a little dated for when it came out, but that's fine again.
Yeah.
There's a couple of weird art direction choices that are very strange. The guide that they show you on the twisted fire starter that's on the start menu.
Yeah.
I hope that's your character.
I mean, it has to be, right? Again,
if so, that's amazing.
Yeah.
like everyone's dropping panty for that dude.
Yeah, for the twisted fire starter. Yeah, look around the table if you don't see the fire starter.
Fire starter. Look to your left. Look to your right. One of you will become a twisted fire starter.
Yeah. And I'm real sorry for people who are like way into like the deep vagaries of the Might and Magic lore. Like I understand the early games, specifically the dungeon crawlers, get real weird with like multiple dimensions, and it's actually the future and there's space stuff. This version of it is really, really generic. This is not a good pitch for Might and Magic being a let's say a compelling and unique world and setting kind of stuff.
I don't know that even the early Might and Magics that are a little bit weird aren't great pitches for that. I think part of the appeal of Might and Magic is its mechanical experimentation.
Yeah.
you know, because it branched into all these weird little side things. Like we've done Heroes of Might and Magic 3 for this show, and that's a great game. But I don't remember the story of that.
No.
I just remember the cool tactics.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
That's kind of Might and Magic for me. This is, for people who are really big into Might and Magic, this is a weird entry because this is in the reboot. So at Heroes of Might and Magic 5, there's a reboot, and this is set in that reboot world in Ashan.
Yeah.
The story is generic pablum. It's there's a Dark Messiah. What if it's you? Do you want to become the Dark Messiah, or do you want to be a good guy?
Yeah. I mean, the thing that is like interesting about this and like, you know, the angle is that your enemy here is a necromancer. Like, you know, kind of a whole coven of them or coven of them. And you think, okay, yeah, I must be the good guy. No, they're trying to stop you because you're worse than them. Like, potentially is kind of the thing that you're going to find out. If either of you achieve your goal, it's bad news. It's bad news for everybody. But this is, you know, just a battle of black hats versus black hats, and that's kind of neat. However, the way that it plays out is real chosen one, kind of, you know, basic boilerplate kind of stuff.
And you can go white hat.
Yes.
You change the color of your hat if you want. Like there are 4 endings to this game. Like you can choose not to fulfill the prophecy. It's just the way the lead up to it could not be with less nuance.
Right.
Like the way they're trying to tempt you into evil is literally the way video games try to tempt people when they were teenage boys, like from the 90s. It's by having a horny demoness in your head who says she'll suck your dick if you go evil. Like it's like almost literally. It's just like they should have, you know, BioShock could have benefited. Like, what if the doctor would have sucked your dick if you saved enough little sisters? You know, it's like that. Like, listen, if you don't throw this baseball at the interracial couple, this cop will suck your dick. That's the BioShock Infinite I want to see.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a mod.
Just like for like graffiti that's like, whose dick fits Roy? Whose dick? And then you're just like, another dimension, but the same old dick. What was that, Booker? Nothing. Let's go.
Oh, there's always a lighthouse. Am I right?
Yeah. But yeah, that's basically the evil side's argument in this.
Yep.
It's very funny. Good Lord.
Oh man. So this actually began life as a sequel to Arx Fatalis, which I understand has a more unique world. I've not played that. Is that the case? Is Arx Fatalis kind of just more interesting, or is it kind of the same?
I've never beat Arx Fatalis. It is neat though. It is less combat focused than this. It's more spell focused, and it is one of the games that does you draw spells using drawing runes with the mouse.
Oh, weird.
Thing, which always is iffy. It's pretty fun in Arx Fatalis. I need to go back and beat it at some point. But what was there was an interesting story.
Yeah.
Based on how far I got into it.
Yeah. Valve liked Arx Fatalis an awful lot. And you know, they let Arcane, like they got in contact and said, yeah, if you want to use the Source Engine for your follow-up, go ahead and do that. There was a problem though, because Arx Fatalis did not sell very well. No. Arcane's debut was not a financial success, and they could not find a publisher who was interested in making a sequel to a game that nobody bought.
Yes. So Ubisoft came along and said, hey, we can make a deal, but it's a Might and Magic now. And they're like, okay, I'd rather do that than not make the game.
Yeah.
So they made it more linear, and there's less emphasis on kind of RPG elements and player customization, and transformed into what it is.
Yeah.
Ubisoft, they were going to release mod tools for this, but Ubisoft said no.
I can't fathom that. That has to be one of the most short-sighted decisions a publisher's made.
It's so stupid.
Yeah.
You know, because like all of these things are annoying. Like the story of this game, which is a pretty obscure game in a general sense, could have been like, we could have been in this part being like, yeah, the original version of it had this problem, this problem, this problem. But then you just install, you know, Norgoth's Goblin mod and everything works.
Right.
You know, it's just fixed. Like, devs should let fans fix their games.
Please. Oh my gosh, they really want to. Like, it sucks if you rely on that. you know, like, oh yeah, just free labor. The community will take care of it. That I think is a shitty posture to take. However, also it's free.
It's a sensible posture though.
Yeah.
You know, it's shitty, but also, you know, if we want to appeal to their basest instincts,
yeah,
it would have made them more money. More people would buy Dark Messiah of Might and Magic today if the mod tools have been released.
Yes.
I guarantee it.
Yeah.
It's really stupid. Just cementing Ubisoft as a trash company for dicks.
Of course. Yeah, no, evidence is bearing out. Turns out most of the big publishers, surprising nobody actually. But no, I went looking for is there a modernization mod, right? You know, sometimes you'll see, and I did it for the dumbest reason because I wanted a way to run this in windowed mode so I could take notes more easily instead of alt tabbing out and waiting for the resolution to change, you know. Just weird little technical concern. It's impossible to run this in windowed mode. But like all of the mods that I found were like, okay, this fixes ladders a little bit, and also here's one that makes it so that you toggle your crouch, and that's it. Like that is all that's possible because those hooks were not exposed for people to mess with, and that was a bad decision. That is a bad call, and I hope that I hope that they learned.
Big mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah. This game, it had a multiplayer mode as well when it came out. I did not play it, but it does look neat.
Yeah.
It's like a humans versus undead kind of thing. There are class systems. You have different objectives. This is the era where you had to do that.
Yeah.
You know, again, and it's like BioShock 2 or what have you. Like it sounds neat, but you can't really do it anymore.
Right. And I'm sure at the time, like maybe there were like 2 months where you could find a lobby for this, but like, I don't know. I kind of seems like you would fire up the GameSpy server navigator, and then this was source. So you would fire up the source one, and there would be like 2 lobbies, and one of them just has like one guy running around doing really sad stuff.
Yeah. One guy explaining his divorce to his kids via Dark Messiah of Might and Magic multiplayer. This has kind of middling reviews and sales. Like it's a real 7 to 8 out of 10 in terms of the review sphere. But it is kind of a cult classic, helped by Arcane's, reputation after this.
Yes. Yeah.
Like their next game is Dishonored.
Mm-hmm. So, which is wild to play this and think, oh yeah, then they would go on to make Dishonored.
They did a big glow up.
They did. Yeah. Ubisoft themselves, they did like a modified and expanded Xbox 360 port for this 2 years later in 2008, Dark Messiah of Might and Magic Elements. I've seen really split opinions on that, like whether or not that works better. I'm happy we did the PC version because trying to get anything to run on the Xbox 360 is weird. I have no idea.
Yeah, I've mostly seen bad things about that, but it also feels like it's just going to be lost to time.
Yes,
at some point.
Yeah.
So as we mentioned, Arcane went on to Dishonored. I love Dishonored. I love that series. Once Bethesda acquired them, that was announced in 2009. So that game had a pretty long zone development, but good for it.
Yeah.
And then the Might and Magic creative team behind this wanted to do a sequel. They talked about the prospect of a sequel, but nothing has happened. They talked about it in 2015. Nothing has come of it.
Yeah.
So we do not have a sequel.
It remains the end sentence on the Wikipedia page for this game with a little annotation that says needs update.
Yep. In a world where Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance can get a sequel, it's possible.
Yeah.
And I'd play it. Like I'd be interested to see what they do with it. Yeah. Shall we get into it?
I think that we should get into it.
So a lot of times in the encounters in this is a standard WoW thing, but I always say it because I don't want anyone to yell at us.
Right.
You just Dark Messiah and Might and Magic your way across things.
Yeah.
So like just know that when you get to an encounter in this, you are going up, kicking people into Cenobite beds, charming them, sometimes shooting them in the head and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There are a couple of set piece encounters that we'll talk about specifically, but generally, we talked about the encounter design. They fall into two patterns, basically. It's a good encounter if there are 2 to 3 people standing around a room. They don't see you, and you get there and you can choose how to start the encounter. It's a bad encounter when there are 4 to 5 guys that rush you. And there's about a 4-to-1 ratio with the former to the latter.
Yeah.
And we're not going to talk about each of them individually.
No.
If I'm being super honest, I don't remember them all individually because I played this early on in my break.
Yeah, it would be madness to try to do that. So we open up with a tutorial. We're trying to get this important doodad, the Shantiri crystal. And
Shantiri lace.
Yeah, exactly what I thought of the entire time. Kind of like in the Sinking City, where we have a prominent character whose name is Evernote. I know it's Evernote, but he is Evernote. So we're getting the Shantiri crystal. This is an important source of power, etc. But we're getting dialogue and instruction from Fenrig, our master, and immediately we know Fenrig is not a good guy because he's condescending.
He's got an old man voice.
Yeah, so when you see him, he looks exactly like an enemy, like an evil guy, an evil wizard. He
also disappears.
Yes,
we lose. This is the last we're going to see of Fenrig here pretty soon.
Yep.
We grab the crystal, and Fenrig snarls and snivels and says, okay, now you got the crystal. You're going to go to the city of Stonehelm to meet a magician named Meneleth and find the Skull of Shadows. And immediately you're in Noun Town. Like I'm pretty much done because I'm in Noun Town.
Yeah.
Okay. Give me the thing.
Yeah. But the intrigue here is like we just, both of us want the Skull of Shadows for our own purposes, but you will help him and get it. Like he is implying, but not outright stating that there is treachery involved here.
Well, the other thing, there's a cool, really subtle little hint here. So he summons this. He's like, to make sure to guide you, I'm going to summon a spirit guide, and he summons the horny demoness Xana. Who shows up. She's scantily clad. Our character's leering at her. When he summons her and puts her inside your brain, the magic energy signature is the same one that you use for charm. So he's like charming you into it.
Ooh, nice.
Which is a cool little touch.
Yeah, I didn't notice that.
I didn't either. I read about it later. So we have a horny demoness inside our brain. Big mouth. And I think that's what that show's about just from watching commercials.
What?
The TV show Big Mouth?
I have no idea what that is. Yeah.
I think it's a show about puberty, and I think puberty is personified as horny demons that live inside kids' heads.
Oh, so it's like Herman's head, but horny.
Yeah, horny's head, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Herman's dick.
Herman's glands.
Like, Herman's balls. Like just one guy pulling levers, like just sadly, like just in a room wishing he had someone to talk to.
Oh man. We get her. She's in our head. She doesn't have a physical form. But if she did, all of the cutscenes are pre-rendered and they take place in the first person. And it is very obvious when the character is just like, I'm just looking at her ass.
There's some real male gaze going on. This is one of the horniest Western games I've ever played. It's not like Bayonetta where the camera is literally just like going up her butthole consistently.
Right.
It's like it keeps a distance, but it is locked on that butthole. It
doesn't bother hiding it. It is just it is serving up slices of ass for daddy.
And I will say, one of the things I really love about Arcane is I think they're one of the consummately unhorny developers. Like Dishonored is very sexless.
Yeah.
In a way that I really appreciate as somebody who doesn't like that in my games. It's so weird that this is an arcade game, Arcane game, based on that.
That feels like Ubisoft. Like this is around the time when they were putting topless metal bikini ladies in Prince of Persia,
That would make sense. Send them for daddy.
Yeah.
Mid 2000s. You're on a ship. You approach Stonehelm. You overhear there's talk of necromancers coming to the city, which is a big deal.
Yeah. And you're riding your horse in, and you get up to the gate, and immediately a war horn blows, and ghouls start sieging the city. And we get this like very on rails but very dynamic action sequence where like people are saying, come here, we need you to close this door, we need you to fire this ballista.
It's a lot. I did a haunted house at Universal Studios, and it was a lot like this.
Yeah.
like people yelling at you to keep going. It's a big action set piece.
Yeah,
they're trying to do early on. There's a more successful one of these in a second, in a little bit. But eventually you get this ballista and you fight a Cyclops. It's doing a thing that I like where you overpowered. You fight a boss monster with like from complete safety, overpowered, and then eventually have to fight it on to show your growth. Like you can go toe to toe with one of these things later.
Yeah.
But here you're just using a magical ballista with these weird super bolts. Like every ballista is the ballista from that fights the dragon god in Demon Souls for some reason.
And runes carved on the side. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you run inside and you meet Liana after the attack recedes and the people start cheering, obviously cheering for you because you made all the difference. You meet Liana. This is Menelag's niece. And like we said, she is the Marianne to the Ginger that is Xana. Or she is the Betty. The Betty versus the Veronica. Yes.
Yes. Or the Gwen Stacy. There's lots of heroes who get two girls, one who's a little bit spicy and one that isn't. So she takes you in to meet Menelag. And Menelag's like, okay, tomorrow we're gonna head to the temple and get the skull. Don't worry about that necromancer leader Errant here. Leanna's like, I don't know. She goes to bed, and after she goes to bed, Menelag has a heart-to-heart with you and says, stay away from my niece. But he just says, I know the real reason you're here, and we don't know what he's talking about. We're carrying a demon bomb.
Yeah.
To grab this thing to ensure we do our mission. But we're not aware of it. We've been charmed.
Yeah, we've been charmed. And we've also been kept in the dark our entire life.
Yes.
Yeah. So start chapter 2, the gleam of the assassin's knife. And you wake up to your house being attacked. There's an assassin there. You kill him. You're not in the manor itself. You have to like go at street level to get to Menelag's. And this is some of the first like immersive sim kind of stuff where you walk into this plaza or this square and you get the loosely secured cargo on top of rickety platforms kind of sections and lots of pyres in the middle of the street where these assassins, these necromancer assassins are making their stand.
Yeah. I love this. I think that this is the good encounter design in this. Yes. I also, just in the sicko mode, like loving how janky and dumb this game is. Every class of enemy has the same voice actor. So all the assassins have this same voice actor, and it's like they were reading to be a cabbie in like a Spider-Man game or something. They're all like, don't move, pal. They're constantly calling you pal, like it's a menacing thing. Yep. Hey, pal. Finish him off, pal. They're like little like buddy jokers. Like, hey, pal. Hey, pal. It's really good. It makes me laugh to no end. And two of them are talking to each other, and it's the same guy like doing slightly different voices. Like, and it's so good.
I say we tattoo him. I say we string him up. I say let him go.
New York City, pal. It's charming to me. This is a kind of jank that to me charms.
Yes.
So
yeah, no, you're not going to find anybody more amenable to jank than I am.
It's good jank. We also, so once we get in to the manor, we get to find out or find our next enemy here, the Blackguard. These are kind of the knights employed by the necromancers, and they have the same voice, but they are sword and shield fighters. They're a little tougher. Like, shields are serious business in this. The way that they handle shields is that they block all damage, but they have their own health bar. So if an enemy is blocking, you don't do chip damage to them. You don't hurt them.
Right.
You need to hit them when they're not blocking or kick them to put them off guard. or hit them enough times until their shield breaks, which is viable because these are shitty shields early on.
Yeah. And so, charging up a power attack and breaking one of those shields is a really satisfying moment in this. It does a really good sound effect, and immediately, like, the animation on the guy, like, shocked as he is vulnerable. And you don't have to, like, go through. You can also go around. You can time your attacks based on when they do their attacks to kind of get in around the edges. There are lots of strategic angles that you can pick, which is nice.
Yeah. A little deeper than it initially seems.
Yeah.
Also, lots of secrets in this part, which I really like. Weird little passageways, ropes that you can find to get up under rafters and get into buildings through open windows, find treasure.
Yeah.
Very satisfying.
Yeah. Like Menelag's little compound here is neat, not just because of the, spikes and the fires that are just open.
Yeah. Which are good.
Yeah.
You eventually get up to the roof, and Xana, your head demon, says, hey, Menelag is expendable, but the crystal isn't. Like, we have to get the temple with the crystal, no matter what. Mm-hmm. We get to Menelag's bedroom. A ghoul who's there casts a freeze spell on us and freezes us. And then it takes the crystal and leaves, runs out the window. And this introduces this chase sequence, which I think is pretty good as far as an action sequence.
This is neat.
Yeah. As like a rooftop chase following this ghoul. It's scripted, but it feels really good.
Yeah.
And it's about, reading the environment quickly to find a way to head him off or pursue in, the face of things crumbling and passages being closed off to you and such.
Yeah. It's scripted, but it is not punishingly scripted. It's actually very gracious in how much latitude it affords you. If he gets too far ahead of you, he will stop. Right. You can botch a jump and miss and then, fall and then, that'll end, end the level because he died. But there is not he's out of sight. A countdown is running down. Oh no, you got to get closer. Close the distance. It's not like that. This is just kind of letting you focus on the swashbuckling kind of nature of this. You are being, you're not generally this light of foot in a game like this. And this is really showing off the mantling as well.
Swashbuckling is a really good way to put it.
Yeah.
It's also worth noting that the autosaves in this are actually pretty generous. Mm-hmm. They put them right before those jumps.
Yes.
You're going to miss. So you want to be, using quick save because it's a PC game of a certain era. But it also, if you're in front of this jump that you could very easily miss, it will put a save right there. Mm-hmm. So eventually the ghoul gets to this warehouse and you have to infiltrate the warehouse. So it switches into stealth immersion mode here. All still very good. This is to me, the beginning and end of this game are the best parts.
Yes.
The one weird little touch. So there's a little subsystem in this game of making your own swords.
Yeah.
You can make a few different swords in this. This is the first long sword you're going to get. You've just been using a short sword at this point. And it's better. It's an upgrade. And you forge it yourself through this little order of operations physics thing.
Yeah. It's impossible to mess up because it won't let you pour the metal over the coals or whatever it is. You just kind of have to follow the instructions of the book, but you can only do the right thing. It's neat, but in a way that doesn't matter. Right.
The way I think of it is cute.
Yes.
It's a cute little grace note. If it happened all the time or was a major system, it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
I was surprised it shows up later, but that was when I was able to forge my Earthfire sword or whatever.
Oh, that thing's amazing.
Which was the sword I used for the whole game. Yeah.
Yeah. I got that. And because I wasn't able to use the holy sword or whatever it is because of a bug, we'll talk about it when we get there. That ended up being super useful to me. And a sword that lights things on fire in a game where most things are weak to fire ends up being incredibly overpowered.
Yeah. I ended up not being able to use the holy sword because I decided to be evil.
Hoo-hoo.
Gotta get my dick wet, dude. The fate of the world is in the hands, but what if a lady? This is so of Twitter 2020. This game, it's way ahead of its time, just in its fuck the world. I just want to get sucked kind of perspective, which is the kind of thing people tweet to rapturous applause now.
Right. New year, new me. It's just with horns and smiling with a succubus, just right, to the hilt.
Yeah.
Yep.
Extremely of the zeitgeist.
Yeah.
Oh.
But this is neat. You pick up the ingot, you put it in the crucible, you heat it up, you pour it, you cool it down, you heat up the sword, and then hit it with hammers, and then put it in the hilt.
You put it in the hilt machine.
Yep.
The final step, which is just a little block that puts hilts on things.
Which seems like an important part. That's the thing you hold. That holds the...
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, there's no molding or anything. It's just a little box that sticks hilts, that creates unlimited hilts.
No, I just, I've seen how to make everything. I know how hard that is.
Oh. So in these tunnels that you're in that have the smithy, you go through them and you eventually get to this necromancer lair. It's next to this prison where they've been keeping captured locals. This town has had a necromancer problem for some time, it seems. And we can kind of sneak up on the main necromancer hive here where Aarontir is there, and he's trying to open up a gate. And your head demon tells you you should create a distraction. Yeah. Like going face to face with him is suicide. And there's only really one distraction you can create, which is to open up one of the cells and let their prisoner get killed.
Yes.
Freed and killed.
Yeah, why not? Sacrifice them. Tantalize them with freedom before they get run through. But that is enough for you to run in, grab the crystal, and then run back out, passing through the sewers on the way.
Yes. Yeah. We get a little vision. We get these visions between chapters sometimes. Yeah. This one, it's Fenrig giving you her opening mission, but he's more sinister. And Xana is her demon in her demon form.
Yes. Yeah. You get the sense that this is the true version of what happened, not the one that you saw with the charm spell on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Starting chapter 4, Across the Sea of Blood.
Right. So we wake up in the sewer, and Xana says, smirkingly, "Ooh, that dream you had was just the result of a, let's say, necromancer curse. Don't worry about it. Have I mentioned that I find you hot? Flirt, flirt, flirt. Yeah. Let's end this conversation right now."
Yeah. Very weird. And you're like, this is good to me. I am fine. We're into Leanna, and she says that Aarontir has stolen a ship. That was the ship we were going to use to get to the temple. So we have to get on the ship. He's on the ship now. He has not left yet. We have to lower the gangplank, infiltrate the ship so her men can get on and steal it back. Yeah. This is cool. I like this level a lot as well.
Yeah.
Having to try to sneak in. The ship has a magic ballista as well. So you can't be out in the open. You have to kind of like duck down under the water to get close enough to it to get outside of the field of view.
Yeah.
Of the ballista to get on.
And just surreptitiously kick people off of the dock. Nobody in this can swim besides you, which is very fun.
Only you.
Yeah.
And you get into this ship that's like a little level. Segmented lots of little rooms. Necromancers hanging around chatting before you kill them. And again, all good stuff. They've captured some goblins. You can release them. The goblins will be on your side.
Yeah.
I like it when you release a prisoner. They don't just like betray you.
Right.
There are allegiances in the game.
Yeah. And the purpose is for them to cause chaos, which is what goblins do best. Yeah. But you get up onto the deck, and this is where kind of more like open combat happens. And you lower the gangplank, and you've got like a little one of the easiest like, hey, defend this point missions I've seen in a game like this. So the Black Guards, this has to have been like the level is redesigned after the VO, because the way Leanna says, like, we need to defeat the Black Guards while my men hop onto the ship. Her quote men, it's like two wizard dudes who die immediately.
Old guys.
Yeah. And the Black Guards, they're not so much like sieging you as it is like they're running down this little cattle they're going down this little cattle run one at a time with maybe 2 minutes in between them.
There's a lot of weird time that takes place, and the turret is not on the deck, so you like run down to the turret to shoot them, and then once they get where you can't hit them anymore, you have to like run up to the deck. It takes a while.
Yeah,
but they're fine. Everyone's fine. Leanna, this is technically for portions of this an escort mission.
Yeah.
I want to put this in a rare zone of a pretty non-odious escort thing.
I was bracing for it to be way worse than it actually is.
In my experience, Leanna took care of herself.
Leanna didn't just take care of herself. She had healing magic that she would spam, and it would work on me too.
Yeah. It's a pretty good little escort. If you have to have an escort mission, like we have to protect her, and it says like if she hates you or if she dies, the mission's over. I love that if you rent She Hate Me at over. Her health meter shows up in the corner, and it's no big deal. She just like didn't die.
It's really just there. Like, you know, she will heal herself. So it's not like you are, you know, managing this running total on her. It's really just there to be like, hey, don't let her get ganged up on. Right. Yeah. She will only really be in danger if there's like, you know, 3 guys on her. Exactly.
When you take out these men, you're going to set sail. Liana gets you a load and says, "Listen, you've become very important to me over the last 2 weeks." And it's like, okay. And then Xana's like, "Wake me when it's over."
Blah,
like, what kind of like screwball comedy play am I watching?
The sweetness is killing me.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So you got these 2 ladies in love with you, and neither of them should be.
You said 2 weeks, like you've known her for a night, and she says, "Oh, you're so important to me."
Oh yeah. It's very, very silly.
Yeah.
She is in love with you, and you're such a fucking goober.
Oh yeah.
In this, like, you're not like a slick dude.
Your character is voiced, and he's always like 2 or 3 steps behind what's going on. And is kind of just really just not really affected by anything that happens around him.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
And this is before the horny Rubicon, because your demoness in your head is not like my pussy puts hers to shame. The demoness is like, you know, give me a break.
Yeah.
Like it's all very silly. It's like things Alf would say when like, you know, Willie and Lois, when Willie and his wife are getting together.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, no more mushy stuff.
Ugh.
It's like that. She's like a teenage boy.
Get a bed chamber. Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh. And all these chapters have been really svelte.
Yes.
That we've done. We're gonna get another vision here, and then we're gonna go into like long chapters.
Yeah, chapter 5 is safely a quarter to a third of the game.
Yeah, it's the longest chapter in the game. It's a really weird choice for pacing. Before we set off, we have another dream. We're dancing. Leanna is dancing with Aaron Tier on the ship as they taunt you, and then he passes Leanna on to you, who you stab.
Yes.
You don't want to, but you give her a stab.
Yeah. You know, they look at your hands, you know, horrified by it. And Aaron Tier's like, this is what you're going to do to everybody, etc. Again, yeah. I wonder where the Dark Messiah is.
You could be some kind of Dark Messiah.
You wouldn't even know.
Well, surely just the Dark Messiah of might. Not the best. Yeah.
So we have approached the Temple of the Spider. This is where we're going to use the Shantiri crystal. And we are making the final approach in a rowboat. And when we get ashore, we find that there is this kind of village type region at the entrance of the temple that is filled with orcs. Like the orcs have taken this place as their own. They're not really involved on either side of it. They're just here trying to live.
Yeah. I like the way orcs are portrayed in this. Like they're honor warriors, which is a archetype I don't like, but they're not just like, you know, demons. They're not right. Fallout 3 super mutants. When you get up here, the guy who's dying, there's a great little moment where one of Leanna's men, like her 2 dorky wizards she keeps with her, goes up and kicks one of the dead guys to make sure he's dead. It's real good. It's a cute little animation.
Yeah. And it's like he could probably just like nudge his shoulder a bit, see if he's just asleep. Yeah.
And that's not how her men work.
No.
You had to clear out the gates in the, you know, the ruin here in front of the thing here. These are kind of tougher, the orcs, more than the Blackguard here. And they have like an animation attack. If they get up next to you, they lift you up by the neck and throw you.
Yeah.
And do damage.
Yeah, you don't want to be down because while you're in the getting up animation, you are vulnerable to being attacked. And these guys love fighting in groups.
Yep. So not too bad. Still pretty fun. When you get up to the gate at here, there's a broken lever, so you have to go through these tunnels to get it. They introduced this weird little flying squid monster that only shows up twice.
Yeah, I have no idea what these are. Like the Xana in your head says like, oh yes, they're just vermin, just feeding.
They exist only to eat or whatever. You won't see them again for another like 5 hours.
Right. Yeah.
It's very strange.
Yeah. But they fly, and they tend to be, pretty evasive. They get up out of your sight. You have to chase them down if you want to take care of them. The cool thing about being down here in this tunnel, aside from, messing with the mechanisms behind the walls and stuff, is that this is where you find the rope bow. And now you're cooking with gas. We're pretty far into the game to get this, but now all of a sudden you are scanning every room like you're the Terminator, looking for the wooden surfaces to try and use this. It is very funny though, because this is probably the right decision to have something in the game remind you, like, yes, rely on the rope bow for navigation. When you get to a point where it's very obvious, like, hey, use the rope bow because there's no other way up and you need to get up. Xana's like, maybe you should use that bow we found before.
It's very, she exists for pro tips, and she exists for tips.
Yes.
As a head stripper.
Yeah.
Once you get back up here, this dragon comes down, a Paukai.
Yeah.
The name's very dorky. You're like, what's a Paukai? It's an evil dragon. Most dragons are not evil. And it starts attacking, driving you guys in.
Yes.
You have to go inside the temple here to get shelter.
Right.
Fight some more orcs, and then get to this guy named Duncan, who Leanna knows. It's her man. Duncan ends up being around for a while. This guy's a real dork as well. And your head demon hates him.
Yes.
When he dies later, she cheers.
Yeah.
You send him to go guard the ship and guard your exit while you find the skull.
Yeah. So we are in this temple, and this temple is pretty much entirely, we're tomb raiding now. There are traps and things like that. Like the most obvious way forward gets you into this crush trap, where you're in a hallway and the walls start kind of moving in. And you need to think very quickly and to use the rope bow to get above the crushing parts of the walls. This is neat. I don't like instant death traps, but like I wish that there was more stuff that was a little bit like this. If you're going to go in, Indiana Jones, go all the way, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. There are going to be traps for the whole game, but a lot of times they're just like arrow traps.
Yeah.
There's a cool boulder trap later. It's also, there's a skill tree that highlights these in the environment.
Yeah.
It's hard to get to, but it's also where they put all the secrets in the last couple levels, is behind locked doors.
Yeah.
To lockpick, you need to go fairly far up the thief skill tree.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting. Like this, I didn't do that the first time I played it. I did it this time because I was trying to play it in a different way.
Yeah.
And until I eventually just defaulted to jack of all trades because it made sense. And things like this glow.
Yeah.
Before you go into them, which is a cool way to do like a thief sense.
They glow, but it only works if you're standing still, I believe. Or at least the earliest version is hidden things will glow if you are standing still.
There's a hidden things that will glow that shows you pickups.
Okay.
And then your trap sense, which is different.
Okay.
The trap sense is further up the tech tree.
Gotcha.
When you get through here, the goblins close this portcullis. You cannot get through. They just throw rocks at you. And you have to head back to talk to Leanna, which I love that she just sent you. It's like, well, I tried, but goblins fucked it up. I'm sorry. I hope you still like me.
Leanna, the goblins were mean.
Yeah, they threw a water balloon at me, even though I told them that you told me I wasn't supposed to get wet.
They threw a water balloon at me and it messed up my digital watch. I hope you're not mad.
Leanna, I hope you still like me. When we still hold hands. And she's gonna, she finds another way forward, but we get a little boss fight here when the Paukai attacks.
Yeah,
it is you can't just fight it. And if you wait long enough, Leanna just tells you how to kill it.
Yeah.
You go under this portcullis and chop off its head.
Yeah, like you run down this little hallway and get him to stick his head through, and then break his neck that way. It's neat. Eventually you're going to end up fighting these guys honest. So it does the, like we said with the Cyclops, take a set piece and then turn it into regular combat, which is a good, it's a good path, good progression.
Yep.
Yeah. Of course, Leanna says, all right, I open this way for you. You're going to go downward through these spider tunnels. Good luck. Xana says, I would have thanked you properly. for killing
Yeah,
the duck.
wow.
like with a bottle of wine.
It is neither like an edible arrangement.
Yeah.
It is neither the time nor the place.
Xana, stop.
You know? Yeah, it's the weird, you know, when I talk about not liking horny in games, part of it is just like, I'm gonna fucking die. There's evil spiders. I just killed a giant dragon. I'm covered in blood. I haven't brushed my teeth in days. You know, where is this sexual energy coming from?
You're incorporeal. You're in my head.
I think that some people do get horny in those kind of situations, and it always surprises me.
Maybe, yeah. It seems like weird priorities, but also it's not something that you have control over, I guess. Yeah, I don't know.
No shame. It's just not something I relate to. Like, I'm generally like, the horniness comes when I'm in a pretty good mood. I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
You know?
No, if
all my needs are met.
Yeah, if I'm in danger, I'm probably panicking and I feel like I need to use the restroom, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just imagine myself like hanging off a bridge that's closing.
Yeah.
You know, a bridge is going down and I'm hanging on the ledge. My finger's about to be chopped off and just being like, God, I could go for a side piece right now. Like, right. Man, that sounds good.
I think regardless, it is a thing that happens more in media. Specifically like escapist media, where you're supposed to, aspirationally want to be this character that people are willing to throw aside their sense of self-preservation in order to want to bone down with. Yeah.
And your virility is just it takes such primacy.
Yes.
Like you're just never not virile.
Yeah.
You know? Like I was when I was a teen.
Yeah.
You know, where like, yeah. And it's for teens.
Yeah.
The alternate way forward is through these spider tunnels. So we talked about the spiders. This sucks. You can block the poison from the little spooters, but they come out of the walls.
Yep.
They're everywhere and they're hardy. For being little tiny little spiders, they are hard to kill without fire.
Yep. And they only get bigger and more hardier as the game goes along.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a neat biome. Like, it looks really cool. I love the webbed up desiccated corpses that are kind of festooning the place.
Yeah. Good decoration. To get out, we go through this long, kind of dome, or this long tube, this shaft that we go up. If you go further than you need to, you can get your first endless quiver.
Yeah.
On the game, which is really useful.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, slightly before this, I found a bow that did a poison cloud.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about this. There are magic bows as well.
Mm-hmm.
They work on recharges. And having that with Endless Quiver, that was another. So doing a charm and then poisoning both characters.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you indirectly poison, it doesn't end the charm.
Right.
Doing that was my opening gambit for my encounters.
You buy yourself some time and then also make that time work for you.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. You also find a fire staff kind of in some of these trapped treasure rooms here. This was the first melee weapon that I found that had a magic effect on it. This ended up being really useful for dealing with the spiders specifically, because it would proc a fire effect every few hits. The staff animation, so that like the staff moveset is pretty neat, but the staff animation has you doing all of these like wild like kung fu kind of moves, to a degree.
You turn into a Dermot.
Yeah. you do turn into a Dermot.
No wonder these girls are throwing themselves at you doing cool staff moves.
Yeah. BDE, big Dermot energy. Yeah.
Yeah. It's essentially the might and magic equivalent of doing a wheelie.
Yeah.
And that's why they're throwing themselves at you. Look, dear, no hands. Yeah.
But yeah, and then you head out to the cliffside, and I like this cliffside quite a bit. Primarily because it's a cliffside. Like there's so many places to kick people off, and they put them conspicuously having conversations on ledges with no railing.
Yep, just standing around like I hope nobody kicks me off. I also like how a lot of these buildings are crumbling because it's like orcs just decided to build them on the side of a cliff for no real reason.
Yeah.
So there are ones that like break apart as you go, and it's like properly tense and cool. Here. You eventually get we find this elevator, and we repair this mechanism for it so we can ride up even further in this temple. We get up this chamber where we stick the Shantari crystal to wake up the temple. And when we do so, an orc comes out, an orc chieftain, and gives us an unskippable cutscene, because this took me several tries to beat. It's a very frustrating unskippable cutscene. Until eventually I saved it right beforehand. But there's a problem with the game here. He says, hey, you're a demon spawn. You cannot have the skull, but if you can defeat me in battle honorably with no magic or anything, you can have it.
Yes.
If you say yes to that, or if you, we'll fight you, without using magic, it starts with him attacking you. And there was a lag before I can control my guy. So he'd always get in a free, really brutal hit on me.
Yeah.
So it wasn't saving then, which meant I was saving before, which meant that I was constantly watching this speech. Really obnoxious.
That's frustrating. So I don't remember there being like an option to accept it. He was just like, this is how the fight's going to go. And I was like, all right, I'm not going to hold to those terms. It was easier for me to have my healing magic, and use that and fight all of them than it was to do an honorable duel with just one of them. Right.
Oh yeah. So, I didn't duel anybody. If you charm, what I eventually did was I took that hit, ran away, healed with a potion so it wouldn't aggro the other guys, and then charmed one of the other guys. Right. So it aggroes them, but they all go after the charmed person.
Oh, yeah.
And then while they were fighting him, my charm spell, the refresh, happened. So I made this guy kill all of his men, and then I one-on-one'd him.
Nice.
So.
If I recall correctly, this is not an arena that has the toys that are necessary for this combat to really shine. It is pretty much just a wide open tunnel, temple room. And it would the fight was entirely me trying to knock people down so I could get the kill shot in, not necessarily getting in, getting them down to 0 HP.
It's a pretty rotten boss fight, I think.
Yeah.
When you kill him, you get the spider key, so we can take this elevator back down. And Xana mentioned your father for the first time. You're going to be able to meet your father soon. You're like, whoa, my father. What do you know about them? I've never met my father before.
Yeah. Why would he be involved in this?
Yeah.
It's just the degrees that they go to say he's a very potent ... person. They are the fact that this is at all treated like a reveal is very funny to me.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, it's an absolute flop on that front. Leanna opens the gate. We get down there. Opens the gate for you to go through, but it closes right behind you, and Tyr throws her into a pillar. You think that he kills her. Yeah. It turns out she's still alive. Here, as Xana mocks you, being like, oh, no, she wasn't your type. Yeah. And Tyr basically says, he says, I will die before I see you do your whore upon the world or whatever.
Right.
He also strongly hints that he's the good guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then walks away, and we are here in the altar of the skull, trying to get this thing unlocked. Kind of the centerpiece here at the start there is a spider statue with a bunch of gem slots on it. We need to find the four gems, and there's a little poem describing where each of these is going to be. It's pretty much just set piece to set piece to set piece, grabbing these so you can come back and seat them.
Yeah, it's a little bit confusingly laid out.
Yeah,
this area, I think. I generally like the idea of this, and there are encounters in it I like quite a bit. It's weirdly laid out, though.
Yeah. And also you are fighting, so this is the other major kind of area, the other major biome that makes you deal with poison. The primary enemies that you're fighting here are the undead, the zombies, who have melee, and they will try and, gang up on you with melee like a zombie would. But they also have a vomit attack that will poison you that has a pretty slight cooldown. They can do it a lot, and it has more range than you would expect vomit to have.
Yeah. Luckily they're slow.
Yes.
So this is where it does want you to keep your distance, I think.
Yeah.
The combat here. And if you're getting headshots, you can kill these guys in one hit. You just have to get headshots.
Yeah.
I actually found fighting these guys pretty fun because of that.
Yeah.
Creating some distance. It took them forever to catch up with me, and you could line up your shots really well.
Mm-hmm. This is also the only area where there are freestanding undead. Yes. Every time later, all undead are going to come attached to liches. And when you defeat the liches, all of the undead will go away. So that makes it an interesting interesting little, choice. Do you focus fire or do you take out his dudes that he might just revive?
The other thing too is earlier we talked about ghouls. They're not like zombies in this, even though
No.
they're synonymous in real life.
Mhm.
They're like little wiry goblin
They're like
critters. Like they're little
like
agile
Toad.
friends.
Yeah.
Yes, they're exactly like Toad.
So the first stone that you get for the big spider is here right away. It's just in a little side room, in a little crypt that is trapped with a firebomb that I could not figure out how to. I couldn't figure out how to take the gem without it activating that trap.
I don't know if you can.
Yeah.
You just heal through it. The Maiden's Eye is the second one, which is in this large chamber. The eye is up on the wall. You can make a little rope course, or you can use telekinesis and grab it from across the room.
Oh yeah,
which I did.
Like weirdly in my head, because I've been using telekinesis for a while, just because I was feeling lazy. Sometimes it's just easier to grab stuff from across a room rather than risk activating a trap or something like that.
Reach and stick.
Yeah, but for some reason, I think in my head I thought, oh, telekinesis wouldn't work on a key item.
Yeah, no, immersive sim DNA.
Yeah. No, I ended up making a making a little Donkey Kong Jr. Course to get over there.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
The Soul of the Crone, you go down into these flooded catacombs to find this tomb of a lich. There's a little miniature boss fight here.
Mm-hmm.
The lich is cool. Stealth works on the lich.
It does.
He summons demons, but if you go and hide when he first appears, he won't know that you're there.
Ooh.
And you can sneak up on him and backstab him or headshot him with arrows.
Yeah. Just a false alarm, waking up from stasis. Like this is alien.
That would happen all the time if you're a lich.
Yeah.
Like a rat would crawl across your tomb like an endgame and you just wake up. Be like, well, time to take over the world. Somebody called for Vecna. I
guess. Or you could be like that vampire in The Witcher 3 who's just like, hey, you woke me up too early. Send somebody a couple of centuries.
Yeah. The final one, the Matron's Eye, is this platforming challenge, basically. Yeah. You're on this high up area that's crumbling and falling apart. You have to take this leap of faith into the water. Getting it is easy, but then you have to get back out. Yeah. Which is a little trickier.
Mm-hmm. There's like a tricky way you can go that does a direct path, or you can take the easy way up that involves going through a lot of undead.
Yes. Yeah. When you climb back and you put this on the spider statue, when you place the final one, you get a vision of Xana talking to you. I think this is where she's full frontal nude.
Yeah, no, this is absolutely where it is. You see her breasts and you think, okay, and then the camera just kind of keeps going, and yeah, no, there's a curvature. Yeah. Quite strange.
It's like labia and stuff. It's not that detailed. It's still right. 2006 polygons, but his full frontal pussy.
Yeah, quite strange. If I had played this when I was 12 or 13, this would have served me well at sea.
I would have gone to town.
Mm-hmm.
On this game. I would have made this game my teen wife.
not to be gross. I think that I'm more saying this, but to admit that yes, I am human. There is warm blood that goes through my veins, and also, I understand that there is a time and a place and a kind of person that this has a direct appeal to, and I potentially could have been one of them if this got me at the right time.
Yeah, I was one of them, and then I got better. But I certainly would have. Boy, oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy. She's like, the skull. I can't believe you got the skull. You're gonna be my prince forever.
Yeah.
Later, she can sacrifice herself for you in one of the endings. Like, she does love you. I don't understand it. The spider blasts out these beams that open the door to the vault with the skull. We go to the altar, which is under this gigantic upright spider statue, and we get a voice talking to us saying, you cannot profane the sacrifices of the seventh dragon by taking the skull. Going to your dragon is like might and magic speak for dying.
Right.
Like they are gods in this world when they're not Paukai or whatever.
Yeah.
So this is you fighting like a spider goddess, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So though she is not good, there is this sense of different aspects of the light that are all trying to stop the chaos of demons from issuing forward. And we're gonna get this is basically just presaging directly what we're going to learn very immediately after we kill all these spiders. I like that just it's this big, the avatar of the spider god will get you, and then it's just a bunch of the spiders you fought already
or been all over.
Yeah,
it's also, this is actually the only area that's appropriately generous with antidotes. They're in every urn.
Yeah.
Which is very funny when you think of these people being buried with an antidote to poison in the spider god's lair. But you grab the skull, and when you do, we get a vision of our father. Dun, dun, dun. It's the demon lord Kabeleth.
Yes. Speaking to us and saying, you're praising us for our actions. You have done well, my son. Yes, you are half demon, and what you have done, we can use the skull to break my 1,000-year prison, break the seal on that, so that he can claim all of the souls in the land. This is not good. The fact that this skull has gotten closer to him, although we still have agency in this.
Yeah. The beast Xana is yours to do with ... as you see fit.
Gross.
Real German, you can use the doll.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
I really wish she had been like, I'm right here.
No, she's there, and she's nude, and she's doing like writhing and issuing cooldown sounds and stuff,
Yep.
Yeah.
Just thrusting in your general direction like Duff Man.
Can't breathe. Yeah.
V.
And you wake up, and Aarontir is here. He has walked into the chamber. You just opened the way for him, you dummy. He takes the skull and he telekinetically throws you onto a spike, piercing through your torso, and you die. He says, the skull is not for demon spawn. This is for grown-ups.
Yes. You think you're dead, but you wake up in a cave in a big body heap. Xana used her power to revive you by unlocking your demon form.
Yes.
So now you can turn into a demon for a little bit. When you're a demon, you move really fast, and you have melee attacks that do good damage, but your health drains and only refills from killing enemies.
Yeah.
This is actually a huge boon because you can use this to refill your health.
Yes.
You can refill faster than it drains. So you can start at like 50% health, turn to a demon, kill 2 orcs really quickly, and end with more health than you started.
Yeah, there's no energy cost that is sunk to move back and forth between forms. It is literally just, do you want to be healing when you kill people, kind of thing.
Yeah.
The limitation on this is
the cost of health drain.
Yeah. The limitation on this is that if you do this in front of good people, like when you go back to the city, or if you do this in front of Lyanna, they'll hate you. So that little caveat where like, hey, if Lyanna dies or hates you, then you can't pass this mission. That is a limitation on this, so you can't use it whenever you want. Yeah.
Yes. Which is a really cool idea that is not fully expressed.
Right.
Like I could see this is a pretty neat. I can see this being really innovative. It was the first time I played with something like that. Like you have powers, but it fucks you up. And there's a little bit of that in Baldur's Gate 2 as well. But it reminds me a little bit of Bloodlines and stuff. I just came to this game much later when it wasn't as impressive.
Right. Yeah.
You don't have any of your stuff, so you have to do this little section teaching you how to use your demon form, killing orcs to get your backpack.
Yeah.
Back.
This is also where you can forge that Earthfire sword that ends up being the most powerful thing outside of like the dragon scale sword or whatever it is that you cannot use if you have any demon in you. You can only use that if you choose the good path.
There is a Cyclops here. This is the second Cyclops. This is the one that's guarding the escape passage. There's a Cyclops earlier as well, which is totally optional.
Oh yeah, I think I didn't fight that, so that's why I didn't make a note about it. But it was there. It was just it was like wildly off the beaten path, I think.
Yeah, he's just, and he also, you're in a place where he can't get through. Like there's a little ledge that he can't climb, so you can manipulate him. You can go over the ledge and kill him. That's the only time you get combat XP. If you kill that Cyclops, Xana says that she's extra horny for you, and you get some combat XP. This one is mandatory, though, because he's guarding the exit, and there is a little crank that lifts a gate that will not stay up long enough for you to, you have to work it for a while.
Yes. Yeah. So you got to take this guy out. Fortunately, there are large beams that are suspended on chains. up above. So if you cut their support ropes or like flip a switch, I forget which one it is, when the Cyclops is standing right in the way, it'll do a huge amount of damage, stunning him, so you can get in and do the kill shot, which is a power stab through the eye.
Yes. You can also hide under in little caves, and he'll stick his face down there looking for you. You can shoot him in the eye.
Yeah.
And do damage. There's a lot of different ways to kill this Cyclops.
I end up liking these boss fights quite a bit.
Yeah, me too. Also, one of the power attacks will do a vertical slash that will also hit him in the eye.
Oh, nice.
So that is an option as well.
Yeah.
Once you get out, you climb up through these goblin encampments, and they're talking about this giant worm that they deal with, and you eventually get attacked by the giant worm. I hate this giant worm.
It is like a worse version. So I feel like what they're trying to evoke is the fun tentacle fight in Half-Life. You know, those,
Yes.
I remember, I don't know, I might be contradicting what we said. I remember that level being impressive, you know, figuring out that it navigated by sound, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I can't remember. In my head it's fun, but I think that this is kind of trying to evoke that, but this is much more scripted and worse.
It's way worse.
Yeah,
and he does poison damage. If he hits you, you're not supposed to fight him.
No.
At all. So like at first you run from him, it's fine, but you get to a place where you could make a stand, and you're still supposed to run.
Yeah.
But you can waste a lot of time not knowing that if you're damaging him. And then finally, this little running section, the section where you have to escape, is not obvious.
Right.
If you run all the way to the end of this, there's no way out. You are trapped. Instead, you have to go halfway and then use a rope arrow to get out.
Yeah.
That's very frustrating to me because I ran every time I played it, I kept running.
Yeah.
Like it allows you to keep going and you just get fucked. You end up in this little area where it looks like there might be ways out, but there are not.
Yeah. It just, and you've run past your one exit and you're pinned, this dead end with really no way to avoid the spray. Or like, you know, if he does like connect a melee attack to you, it feels like it's instant death.
Yeah. It blows.
Yeah.
I really don't like this dude. Personally.
Yeah. And also kind of anticlimactic that you don't get to deal with it. You don't get to like lower a portcullis on it or drop a drawbridge. You just kind of get out of his general zone.
Yeah. You leave him.
Yeah.
He vibes. You'll take him when you take power as a demon lord or whatever, maybe.
Yeah. You'll come back for your revenge. But right now you got to open up a sluice.
Yeah. The sluice is loose. You do this to raise a water level, which you ride up, drowning lots of spiders, which is satisfying.
Yeah.
To get up to this top into these cliffside tunnels. There's a cool barrel trap here. This is if you have the trap sense, you can see the spot that triggers it here. Yeah. Or you can also run up and duck into a little side passage.
Yeah.
There.
The way that I avoided it, I saw it coming and I'm like, all right, I'm going to turn around. The floor drops out behind you. You have to do like a leap across and kind of just barely make it to mantle up onto the ledge. And the barrel will fall down the pit. Pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. You end up doing these gondola rides that are kind of like elevator things where guys are shooting at you from time to time. You can charm them. You can shoot your arrows. You can just hold up your shield.
Yeah.
And eventually you get to this cliff that overlooks the boat landing where Duncan is there. And you can make your way down. Duncan is upset about Leanna's fate. I love he immediately says, well, we're fucked. Let's go. And he suggests starting in life in a new country.
Yep.
with like you.
Yeah.
This guy, he's probably pretty in love with you, given that you're the main character of this game and everybody is.
You're irresistible. Yeah.
My lord, I would have thanked you properly.
Shit, man, let's run away together, Duncan. Come on, let's go.
Yeah. Like, yeah, we're fucked. Let's go start a new life, Duncan.
we can, I mean, Aaron Tier has the skull, and that's not good, but it's not as bad as it could be either. Shit. Yeah. I mean, it should be like that, the fake ending of Mortal Shell. Let's just vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or the real ending of Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah.
Instead, you say, no, we can't do that. Let's go set sail for Aaron Tier's lair.
Yes. Which is beneath Stonehill.
Yeah. So we land the rowboat there, where we stole the skull in the first place, or stole the crystal in the first place. We sneak in, we go through the gate to get to their headquarters, the gate he was opening before. And this is a big, scary, evil necromancer lair.
Yeah.
I think this is pretty cool. The pacing's a little bit weird.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I like exploring this zone. This is the most games, just really in general these days, I get to the point where I'm like, I'm pretty ready for this to be over.
Yeah. I feel like I get it.
I would like a climax here. This is not the climax. We got a couple more chapters after this.
No.
But it would have been a good place for a climax.
Yeah. This big space, even though it is linear and, pretty artificial still, we are in a big necromancer tower, and there are different wings of it. Like, there are study rooms, and there are bunk rooms. There are like little labs. There are altars where they do where they do their work. And
there's students.
Like there are students who are like, they're not hostile to you. They don't attack. They're not aggressive.
Yeah, they're scared of you. Like, they'll run from you.
Yeah, which
is great. Yeah.
So
it's pretty neat, and it looks pretty cool.
Yeah. And
like lots of orbs.
Your key, it's not a key. You pick up a black orb, which is how they lock this. I like what Xana says. Like, oh gosh, the necromancers, they got all their bad habits from the wizards. These buffoons.
Yep, locking all their door with orbs. Where's the orbs? It takes a long time to get through this, but it is a pretty cool zone. You're generally fighting necromancers who summon zombies at you and shoot fireballs and the like. Charm, again, is your friend. They eventually start having they're like the Black Guard, having the knights as bodyguards.
Most of the fights end up taking place on high hallways over long drops or on staircases, so the kicks are still in full effect here.
Oh yeah, that never goes away.
Yeah.
We get to this area, we find Leanna screaming for help. And we can see her, we look up, and they kick her off into a pit. So I was like, oh shit, I did something wrong. I didn't. We can still go down there and save her.
Yeah. You can follow
her. This is optional.
Yeah. Go down into a spider tunnel to fight a gigantic spider. This would have been good as the avatar of the spider god in that shrine, actually.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Makes me wonder if at one point it was.
Maybe.
It's catharsis for all the spiders in this.
Yeah.
You finally fight the big spide.
Yeah, he's big. Yeah. You want to make sure that you have a shield because his attacks will knock you around if you don't. But you got to get up under him and attack his glowing weak belly.
Yep. Yeah. Otherwise, not too bad.
Right.
Xana does not like that you summoned Leanna, of course.
Yeah.
When we save Leanna here, this is she realizes you have this demonic aura, and she says, "Hey, there's somebody in Stonehelm who can get rid of this.
Yeah,
if you want,
who can get rid of my dad."
Yeah, get rid of your dad and your bride, your dad and your goth girlfriend.
Yeah.
And Xana doesn't like this, but it is introducing the good ending if you want that.
Yeah, the ways that this can branch. This is where it bugged for me. I wanted to pursue the good ending because that seemed like the right thing to do. However, like I got to the end of this and, she's like, hey, I'll stick, at a certain point she says, hey, I need to stay behind here and manage the gate. So no more necromancers come through. And I thought, all right, yeah, that's the way this is going to work. And then it started talking like, oh man, if Leanna was here, that'd be pretty great because you could purge the demon from you, but you can't. So I must have missed a prompt somewhere and didn't do something. It kind of seemed like I was just letting her do the thing that she needed to do to make the story happen.
Like she died at some point?
Like, I have no idea if she died. Like, it didn't punish me. It didn't say like she died. It was just, I moved to the next level and then it acted like she had died.
Interesting.
Yeah. Even though I didn't make a choice, I didn't like let her health get down to 0 when she did the thing. I just kind of like followed what she said. Hey, here's what you should do. Go through this gate and I will stop everybody from coming behind you.
Did you go to the temple?
I did go to the temple and I got a prompt that said, if Liana was here, she could open this door for you to get into the sanctuary. Yeah.
When I went to the sanctuary, like a dude let me in.
Oh. Huh.
And then I backed, I ended up doing the dark ending, but I walked in and because I wanted to see what Xana would do, which is set up a bunch of cool walls of fire to try to stop you from getting there. And really, really disturbingly freak out. And ask you and like beg you to change your mind.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that sounds like like an irritating glitch.
Yeah, and if I really cared, I could have just reloaded, but it would have been a while back. And I was just like, yeah it's fine. I will.
Endings is endings.
Endings is endings. There's 4 of them, like, so it's, do you purge Xana or not? And what do you decide to do with the skull when you get it? I was still able to take my own path on this. Yeah. But we'll talk about that when we get there. It was just one of those things. Maybe
you put in the cheat code into YouTube to watch the endings.
Yes, which is searching for Dark Messiah, all endings. No commentary. Yeah. So you go into Erentier's headquarters before you leave. You need to find out his plan. And you find out that there is this necropolis beneath Stonehelm, and he is going to use the Skull of Shadows as this object of power in this place of power to summon the avatar of the god of death. And so we need to stop him from doing that.
Not such a good guy. Like, you're a bad guy, but also he's a bad guy.
Right.
You go to the portal, and we find out his word of power from the journal to open the portal. We do this and return to Stonehelm. Leanna's going to stop more necromancers from following you. And we enter chapter 9, which I rather like. Yeah. City of Flames here, which is us back in the first city, but everything, it's being attacked by ghouls and undead cyclopses and shit, and everything's on fire.
I am in favor of the fights with the undead cyclopses. Fighting a bunch of the ghouls at the same time, kind of a bummer.
The ghouls are really tough.
Yeah.
Like they're very tough. I think this is probably something where I had an easier time because I was riding that charm button.
I think so. Yeah.
It makes a really big difference. I also think it's very funny that we're with Duncan, and Duncan's like, I don't know how to get there, but I have a cousin, Percy. And we get introduced to Percy real late in the game.
Yep.
Stuff for Percy.
Yeah. And Percy's just folks. He's just like, it's a living.
He's a guy. Yeah, he works the sluice gate down at the old like water treatment.
Yeah. He's
aqueduct.
Like, he's an aqueduct guy.
Yeah. We save him. We get there. When we run into him, we do a lot of fighting ghouls, little agile guys. And he's like, hey, there's an undead cyclops though. I got to deal with that or distract it or something. Mm-hmm. So you can kill it, but you can also find a way past it or just have it chase you. Mm-hmm. So he gets out, which is cool. Yeah. But it's a good fight.
Yeah. It's neat. There's a little house you can go into that will cause him to bend down and like try and reach in, which is a way to get him to expose his eye to you, which is real good. But like, I figured out by this point I was powerful enough to go toe to toe with him just out in the open. This is, you're in this big square with nothing in the way. So you just need to, goad him out and then do an attack, do enough power attacks to get him to lean down. And suddenly it's just a boss fight.
After you take him out, we run along, Percy shows up. We get separated by this bridge. He's like, I'll find a way to meet up with you later. So we don't have to guardian him, which is great. And this is where you can find that church sanctuary, where you can have the demon purged from you. Dude lets you in. When I went through, Xana started begging and putting up these walls of fire in front of me, like little mazes. And I was like, okay, I'll let you live. Demoness, and left.
It's nice that they give you the choice to walk back when she begs.
Yeah.
As opposed to...
And the dude who opened up the church, Leanna wasn't here for me, even though I had saved her.
Oh, weird.
She had not shown up yet. I run into her later and had to kill her.
Oh,
Did you have to kill Leanna?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, she was brought back as a lich and she swore revenge.
She wasn't a lich. She was just a person for me.
Oh, huh.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, weird. It's interesting. She didn't die. She just doesn't like me. She hate me. But yeah, the guy's like, you'll regret this. And then Xana's like, no, you won't. And then did the thing where she sticks her tongue in her cheek.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And moves her hand back and forth, emulating a ding dong.
Yeah. Takes ties a banana peel in a bow, just with her mouth. Yeah.
With her tongue. Yeah. Uh-huh. Slowly eats a series of hot dogs.
got that throat game feel like Squid Game. Yeah
Exactly. She Nancy Reagan's you left and right. So the citizens of Stonekeep are all zombified. So you had to kill them, unfortunately, getting back up to Percy. When we get there, he says, hey, go open up the sluice gate so we can hold it. When you get to the other end of the waterway, there after you do this, we're in a ruined church building and there's a Paukai, which we can actually fight.
Yeah. There's a ballista. And you're not invulnerable when this happens. Like, you need to take him down very quickly, or else his lightning will zap you.
You take him down so you can open up the winch. And when you get inside, or winch, Leanna's there. For me, Leanna was alive.
Okay.
But I guess she turns into a lich. That's pretty cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I think that according to the game, I let her die, and Aaron like as a sick joke, converted her. And she is all lichified, and she, swears revenge. I'll make you regret abandoning me. And it's not like a lich fight. She just, attacks. And that's more like, okay, I've got to put you down, and that's regrettable because you helped me. Yeah, I think for you, maybe she attacked because you didn't purge.
It is because I didn't purge.
Yeah.
She says it. She says, I can't let you move forward with this if you're just going to be under the thrall of a demon.
Mm-hmm.
So,
which is sensible. She's trying to save the world.
Yeah. And not a particularly exciting fight or anything. She just does the spells that she did to help me, but now in service of
stopping you. Yeah.
Stopping me. And we get to chapter 10 epilogue, which is by no means an epilogue.
It is not. It is the last level.
It is the climax of the story.
Yeah, you're in a necropolis, and you're fighting like undead cyclops as regular enemies and stuff. Like, it's a good level.
It's very funny, the idea to think of Lord of the Rings ending, and then the final chapter being the one where they fight the Balrog and decide what to do with the ring. It's in the post credits.
Oh man. So, when you get here, just this big city of the dead that is beneath the actual city for the living, which I always enjoy, you hear somebody screaming. It's this guy, Ishtavan, who's one of the sons of the Lich Kings, who did something fucked up, and he's been chained up over the abyss, basically dangling over the afterlife, but denied it for eternity.
Yeah.
And he begs you, like, hey, if you drop me into the abyss, I'm sure my dad'll do you a solid later.
It's such a weird introducing this late.
Yeah.
It's like how your Fenrig just disappears.
Mm-hmm.
Like Istvan just shows up. It felt like Easter eggs for people who are way into Might and Magic lore to me.
Maybe Istvan.
Like this name means something to somebody, but not me.
Yeah. And I have no idea what wiki I would look in to ask that question. Don't know the question to ask, and don't know where to ask it. But I think that all this does, if you do this, it just skips a fight later on. But you're still, it's still a really combat heavy dungeon.
Yeah, and I'll help a brother out.
Yeah,
and I did I cut down the chains. Nobody should be just in eternal purgatory like that.
Yeah.
You keep doing this. You're going through the necropolis, fighting all these battles with Lich Kings. There are platforming challenges in between. It's final exam time. How Might and Magic can you get? Fewer kicking dudes into spiked things. Like, the fights are more fair, quote unquote.
Yeah.
The Cyclops fights are all generally fun. Like, I like those fights. Some of the Lich King, sorcerer melees, I like a little bit less.
Yeah, a little bit. It's just you're engaging on fair footing, and that is not where this thrives.
Systems sings, yeah. We get to this huge gate at the bottom of the necropolis once we get there, and Aaron is trying to open it. When we approach, he attacks.
Yes. I think that if you have Liana on your side here, this is where she will show up and help you. But regardless, we are here doing it alone. And this is a weird final boss fight.
Yes, very much so. So when you do enough damage to him, an undead Paukai comes out, and then you have to do damage to make Aaron vulnerable.
Yeah.
Again.
And he's only vulnerable for a small amount of time before he resummons the Paukai.
Yes. It's pretty obnoxious. And the arena's not great for it. We didn't really talk about this earlier in the episode, but the way that you use your things that are not just your basic attacks, they're on the number keys on the keyboard. So, you put healing potion on 1, you just have to press 1 to heal. You end up just kind of going through all your potions. Yeah. In this, I found. And I had enough left over to make this doable. Yeah. I remember the first time I played this back in the day, maybe 10 years ago or something, I had a much harder time with it. I had managed my inventory worse.
Mm-hmm.
it was very tricky.
Yeah, this only took like a couple of tries. Like the first try was, when I just the trial to realize like, okay, yeah, this is the rhythm of this.
Mm-hmm.
But like, yeah, and then I just used all of my consumables and came through just fine.
Yeah. Once you beat him, you have your choice of what to do.
Yeah.
You can take the skull and give it to your father. I took the skull and decided to become my own presumably evil overlord.
Same. Yeah.
We don't get to find out.
Did your dad swear vengeance against you, saying, I will find a way to escape?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I did. I'm not going to give my skull to my dad. He's not been around. He's not part of my life. And suddenly I've got some power and he shows up saying like, hey. He's
a real deadbeat dad.
Yeah.
It'd be like if my dad came to me and was like, give me the skull. Like, where the fuck have you been, man? Like, I'm giving you shit.
Yeah. No. I'm going to keep it for myself. I've got Xana here and we're going to
me and Xana are going to go live in a cottage or something.
Yeah. And she she's going, she's going to strip the chrome off of that hitch, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the ending. So that is the ending of Dark Messiah of Might and Magic, is you getting your dick sucked eternally by a demoness.
Yeah.
3.5 stars. It's a weird one. Like I love this game. I find it very charming. But yeah, it's a janky mess. At its best, it's really great. It's very fun to do this combat and kick dudes off of things and do physics shit.
Yeah.
All that's great. The story is absolute dumbass nonsense, and the pacing is a little bit fucked up.
Yeah. Outside of, the fun little, the physical comedy of this game, I think is kind of unassailable. Outside of that, and outside of like clowning on the story stuff, again, this is kind of still a game for which I feel nothing. I think that, looking at the story of Arcane, Dark Messiah walked so Dishonored could run. It feels like to me,
Yeah.
And I appreciate and admire its service, even just for that. So that is cool. I don't know that I would say this is like a must play for somebody. I think that if you heard this, you probably got it.
I think if you're a big fan of Arcane,
yeah,
it's worth checking out, but not as worth checking out as Arx Fatalis is.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a more interesting video game.
Mm-hmm.
Slightly less like pure fun than this is. Like it's a little more thoughtful or brainier, I guess.
Yeah.
Than this. I think this does a really good job of being pure fun jank at its best.
Yeah.
But it's just not there all that often.
Mm-hmm. It's impossible to care about the story, but it is kind of impossible not to appreciate this, even just looking at it in wireframe as Dude Kicker 3000.
Yeah. And the dude kicking is extremely good.
Oh, top notch.
Yeah. Good dude kicking. But in general, it's not one of my favorite games we've done for the show or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably pretty happy to say goodbye to it.
Yep.
With the second playthrough.
Yeah. I'd be curious if something came out and said like, oh yeah, Dark Messiah of Might and Magic is like our touch point for this. That would make my ears perk up.
Me too.
Yeah.
And hopefully somebody does.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. The space, the physics melee RPG is not something that pops up all that often. Like it's kind of what Dishonored does, but there are far fewer environmental traps.
Right.
To Dishonored, it's almost like this is splitting that difference directly rather than, and the difference with Dishonored is you make the traps yourself.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of like it is really interesting as a bridge.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where like the stuff that I would want them to do to this is like, I want to say like, okay, tighten and tune this so that the melee combat, if you engage somebody on like fair footing, if he feels a little bit, snappier, but like, mm-hmm. I almost don't want to say tighten anything up because I don't want them to get rid of the jank.
No, it's a weird balance. It's like a house of cards. Like it works because of the jank.
Yeah.
It feels like a jury-rigged game
mm-hmm.
to me.
Yeah.
But worth playing and worth talking about. And I really appreciate Ryan patronizing it.
Yeah. I am happy to have finally played this because it's one that was definitely a blind spot for me.
Mm-hmm. If you have things to say about this, Super Mario Brothers 3, or The Sinking City, hit us up at Duckfeed.tv/contact by the 15th.
Yes, by January the 15th. If you have thoughts about February's games, write in by February the 15th. February's games are Professor Layton and the Curious Village, Warhammer Dark Omen, and the final one is State of Decay. If you have thoughts about those, go to duckfeed.tv/contact, click the Watch Out for Fireballs button, and send away. You don't have to wait till close to the deadline. We take those all the time. And if you have thoughts about multiple games, please send multiple responses. That makes it easier for us to route them where they need to go.
This is the first time we're recording in the new year. So Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah.
We really appreciate everyone's support last year, and we really appreciate everyone's support now. If you would like to support us and get our kind of premium episodes, once per month we do a premium episode. If you want to get those full episodes, you go to patreon.com/DuckFeedTV. $5 get you all of those. So it'll get you The Sinking City and State of Decay and all the premium episodes for the last couple of years and the next foreseeable for $5 a month.
Yeah.
And we really appreciate it. We think it's worth it. You get a bunch of other bonus shows as well, and you support us, and we are very grateful.
Yeah. If you're excited about Elden Ring, the Elden Ring season of Bonfireside Chat is going to be released through there. So you can get on board.
Yeah. And we're doing stuff of WoF interest. We've always done some games that are not Dark Souls games that are kind of related on Bonfireside Chat. So fans of this show also would like that.
Yeah.
You know, we've done kind of weird little one-offs and stuff, and we're going to continue to do little one-offs.
Yes, we are.
Yeah. That will be of interest. Then ratings, reviews on Apple Podcasts or Podcast Addict are also very useful.
Yeah. I think Spotify is now doing ratings or reviews as well. So if you listen there, go ahead and help us out. That does feed the algorithm and expose new people to us. So all of that is appreciated. And most of all, stick around, listen to other stuff. We're super happy to have you here. Excited for what 2022 will bring for the network.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Until next time, what should they watch out for, Cole?
I don't know. I'm trying to think of a fun Xana, just being like way too overweening with you. But I don't know. It's just don't disappoint Xana. She's into you.